Welcome back to your AI Future. I'm Marcus Reid, and with me is Dr. Sarah Chen. Sarah, we crossed into April today, and the AI story is not slowing down. If anything, the numbers we're going to dig into are more extreme than anything we covered in Q1. Let's go.
Let's go. I want to start with the IPO story because it has enormous implications for where capital is flowing in this industry. We now have three of the most powerful AI companies in the world, OpenAI, Anthropic, and SpaceX, all reportedly preparing to go public, potentially within the same 12-month window.
And the numbers attached to these are staggering. OpenAI raised over $120 billion in total funding, is valued at $730 billion, and is reportedly eyeing a late 2026 public listing. SpaceX could file as soon as this quarter, and analysts are projecting a raise that could exceed $75 billion, which would be the largest IPO in history, breaking Saudi Aramco's record.
And Anthropic is reportedly targeting October after winning a significant legal fight with the Department of Defense over the limits of military AI use. So you have the three most important players in the foundation model race, all potentially hitting public markets within a year of each other. That is going to reshape how institutions think about AI as an asset class.
For the people watching this who are in business, this matters because public company status changes everything. The pressure to grow revenue, show consistent unit economics, and defend market position intensifies dramatically. It accelerates product cycles, partner programs, and enterprise sales. When OpenAI goes public, every enterprise contract becomes a line item in a shareholder letter. That changes how they price, how they sell, and who they prioritize.
And it changes the competitive landscape for everyone else. When Anthropic goes public, Claude competes differently. The question I'm watching is whether Anthropic's ethical positioning, refusing certain defense contracts, being transparent about safety, becomes a brand advantage with enterprise buyers who have their own ESG pressures, or whether it costs them deals. We will know the answer by Q4.
Now, let's talk about the workforce numbers, because April opened with data that demands attention. 59,000 tech workers have lost jobs in 2026 already. We are 1 quarter into the year. And what's different this cycle is that 20% of those cuts, over 12,000 people, were explicitly attributed to AI and automation by the companies themselves in public statements.
That second number is the one I keep coming back to, Marcus. Companies citing AI as a primary reason for headcount reductions went from under 8% of layoff announcements in 2025 to over 20% in just the first 3 months of 2026. That is not a gradual shift. That is a structural inflection.
The Block story is the clearest signal we have. Jack Dorsey cut 40% of his entire workforce, 4,000 people, and the public statement was not about financial difficulty. He said, and I'm quoting directly, that this was driven by the growing capability of AI tools to perform a wider range of tasks. He then predicted that the majority of companies would reach the same conclusion within the next year.
Meta is the other number that puts this in context. They are planning to cut up to 15,800 roles, 20% of their workforce, while simultaneously committing $135 billion to AI capital expenditure in 2026 alone. When Meta stock rose 3% on news of the layoffs, the market was doing the math. 15,000 roles at an average fully loaded cost of $350,000 is $5 billion in annual savings. That is how this gets justified at the board level.
And Salesforce cut 1,000 roles in marketing and data analytics in February, citing Agentforce automation of the workflows those teams managed. Think about that for a second. Salesforce is selling AI agent tools to their customers while using those same tools to reduce their own headcount. That is not hypocrisy. That is the playbook, and it is happening across the industry simultaneously.
Now, I want to give context to these numbers because the framing of pure displacement misses something important. AI hiring is simultaneously surging in ways that are not making headlines. Healthcare and legal are now the fastest growing sectors for AI hiring, overtaking tech for the first time in March. Healthcare AI job postings grew 47% quarter over quarter. If you have domain expertise in financial services, healthcare, or legal, and AI skills, you are in the most advantageous position in the entire job market right now.
The skill premium data is striking. Salesforce admins and consultants who can configure AI agents are earning a 15% salary premium over those who cannot. Prompt engineers saw a 7% salary increase in a single month. The median AI solutions architect is now at $195,000 base. The skills that matter right now are AI workflow design, which appeared in 43% of all AI mentioning job postings, prompt engineering, and AI governance and compliance, which nearly doubled as a requirement from 11 to 19% of postings in just 2 months.
The EU AI Act drove that last number. The first compliance deadline arrived March 1st, and companies with European operations suddenly needed staff who could navigate AI risk assessment and governance frameworks. We are watching a new professional category emerge in real time, the AI risk manager and AI compliance analyst. And it is not a niche role. Financial services, healthcare, and manufacturing are all posting these positions at scale.
Let's shift to something that I think represents a genuinely historic week in payments and financial services. Banco Santander and MasterCard completed what they are calling Europe's first live end-to-end payment, executed by an AI agent. Not a demo, not a pilot in a sandbox. Live payment infrastructure. An AI agent initiating and completing a financial transaction autonomously.
The Visa Agentic Ready program launching in parallel is significant for exactly the same reason. Visa is creating a structured pathway for banks and issuers to test and validate AI agent-initiated transactions in controlled production environments. Commerzbank, Revolut, HSBC, Barclays, all part of the initial cohort. The payments network is building the rails for a world where AI agents are authorized to spend money on your behalf.
This is not theoretical. The question for every business that processes transactions is, are you ready to authenticate an AI agent as a buyer? And the question for every consumer is, do you understand the consent parameters you are setting when you authorize an agent to act for you financially? These are not philosophical questions anymore. They are live engineering problems being solved right now.
Speaking of financial services and AI leadership, HSBC named David Rice as their inaugural Chief AI Officer on April 1st. He spent nearly 2 decades at the bank, most recently as COO of Corporate and Institutional Banking. The appointment is part of what HSBC describes as deploying AI at scale across the entire organization, making generative AI tools available to all staff.
The Chief AI Officer title is proliferating rapidly across financial services, and that tells you something important. When banks create a C-suite role for AI, they are not treating it as an IT project. They are treating it as a core business function with board-level accountability. The role did not exist 3 years ago. It is now being created at the largest financial institutions in the world simultaneously.
I want to spend a moment on GPT 5.4 because the benchmark it hit last month changes the conversation about what AI can do autonomously. OpenAI released it with a 1 million token context window and the ability to autonomously execute multi-step workflows across software environments. On the OS World V benchmark, which simulates real desktop productivity tasks, it scored 75%. The human baseline on that same benchmark is 72.4%.
That number, 75 versus 72, is the one that matters more than any of the other benchmarks we have seen. Because OS World 5 is not testing language. It is testing whether an AI can navigate a real computer, use real software, complete real tasks. And it is doing it better than the average human on that task set. That is a meaningful line crossed.
The practical question for businesses is not whether this affects their 10-year strategy. It is whether it affects their hiring plan for this quarter. If an AI model can complete desktop productivity tasks better than human baseline, what is the ROI calculation on the next operations hire? I am not saying the answer is obvious. Context and judgment and relationships still matter enormously. But the question is now live in every CFO and COO conversation in a way it was not 6 months ago.
Let's end with 2 things that I think represent the emerging infrastructure of this moment. First, Microsoft has now deployed Copilot for Enterprise to over 40,000 organizations. 40,000. And the talent shortage this has created is not in AI engineering. It is in AI operations, change management, and enablement. The people who can configure Copilot, train teams on it, and embed it into workflows are what every organization that just signed a Microsoft Enterprise Agreement now urgently needs.
The parallel to FedEx from last week still applies. Technology deployment at scale requires human capability deployment at scale. The tool without the literacy is an expensive subscription nobody uses. If you are a business leader who can bridge that gap, who can show employees how to actually work with these tools in their specific context, you are more valuable than you were 2 months ago.
And second, Yann LeCun, the Turing Award winner and former chief AI scientist at Meta, just raised $1.03 billion in a seed round for his new company, AMI Labs. That is the largest seed round in European history, backed by NVIDIA, Bezos Expeditions, and Temasek. He is not building another large language model. He is building world models, AI architectures that learn by understanding how the physical world works, targeting robotics, healthcare, and manufacturing.
The significance of LeCun betting on an alternative architecture at this scale is that it signals genuine uncertainty among the people who built the current paradigm about whether that paradigm is sufficient for the next level of capability. The fact that NVIDIA is backing it means the chips business is planning for a future where multiple architectures coexist. For businesses building on AI today, this is a 5-year signal, not a 5-month one, but it is worth watching.
Takeaways, Sarah.
2 from me. 1. The skills premium data is the most actionable thing in this episode. If you have domain expertise and you pair it with AI workflow design skills, you are in a structurally advantaged position in your field right now. Not eventually, right now. 2. The AI governance and compliance category is being repriced faster than almost any other professional skill. If your organization is doing any AI compliance work, get involved immediately.
Mine. The IPO wave is the story that frames everything else we discussed today. When OpenAI, Anthropic, and SpaceX all go public, the intensity of competition, the speed of product development, and the pressure on enterprise customers to pick platforms will increase dramatically. The window to learn, adapt, and position your business is the next 12 to 18 months, before those dynamics accelerate. And second, the agentic payment story is not a fintech story. It is a business operation story. AI agents that can spend money autonomously are coming, and whether you are a seller or a buyer, you need a position on that before it arrives.
Well said.
That is the Your AI Future Roundtable for April 1st, 2026. If this brought you value, subscribe, share it with someone navigating these changes, and we will see you in the next one. I'm Marcus Reid.
And I'm Dr. Sarah Chen. Stay informed and stay ahead.